A lot of women are bored with sex. I think that they think they don't like sex because it's boring, because husbands and wives are not really getting to know each other through sex. People have preconceived ideas about what this class is about. They maybe think that it's another Christian sex class where we're going to say you need to have sex with your husband, or maybe they think it's going to be a Christian sex class where they don't give you any answers as far as how do you make it.
It's all very spiritual terms.
Yeah. How do you make it enjoyable for you too? And things are supposed to just magically fall in place because we're Christian. Honestly, there's so much bad information about sex. I mean, there are tons of Christian sources that would tell women, you just need to do this for your husband. Well, how many husbands want their wives just having sex just to do it?
It's not just the message of serve your husband. Like, it's a real thing that I need to feel loved and respected and safe in order to relax into, an encounter with my husband. Understanding that sex is for us just as much as it is for our husbands. I know somebody who took the class last fall and then told a couple of her friends, you have to take this. It's not what you're expecting it to be.
There are so many Christian resources that say, well, a woman doesn't really need to have an orgasm every time. A lot of women are just happy to just cuddle. Well, maybe sometimes, but not a lot of the time. And that kind of gets old, I would think, for it to be so one-sided. And most men want their wives to enjoy sex too. And so that takes maybe opening up your definition of what sex is rather than just intercourse. If we did get a message about sex, it was, how to make a baby. Well, like we talked about, we have sex this many times. This many times is how to make a baby. And so what is the rest of this about? And why are we not talking about this? Because there's a reason that we're having sex all these times, and it's a good reason.
So in 6 weeks through the Awaken-Love class, we go from understanding God's design for intimacy and sex to getting rid of the lies and the baggage that are holding us back and stealing our joy, to really understanding the nuts and bolts of sex. How does my body work? How does my husband's body work? And how are they supposed to work together? To understanding how sex can be a means of really getting to know our husbands. Over and over again, we hear about what a difference it makes to just get to talk about sex with other Christian women. And that's why we created this 6-week video series.
The class is kind of this unique opportunity to bring up the topic of sex. Because you're not bringing it up because there's an issue or there's something wrong. You're bringing it up because you're talking about it in class and you're supposed to do this homework.
And once you can talk about sex with your husband, it pretty much seems like there isn't anything that's off the table. There's been so much demand for this, and there's, just 2 of us here. And so that's really why we're making this video series, is women are hungry for this information. They want to know what God says about sex. They want their marriages to be transformed into this oasis that He intends for it to be. And
every time we teach an Awaken-Love class, it seems like at some point, one of the women says, every woman needs to take this class. And the rest of the class chimes in agreement.
Over the past 4 years, the Awaken-Love classes have been filled just by word of mouth, with women telling other women what God has done through the class.
I had one woman that took the class just recently, and by week 2 or 3, she was telling me how much it had impacted her marriage. And she told 5 or 6 close friends, and they drove 40 minutes each way just to come to class. I had another woman she was a little older, and she was one of these women that said, you know what, I'm just kind of done with sex. And about 3/4 of the way through the class, she shared that, you know what, she and her husband had kind of reignited things, and she told her husband the other morning, you know what, I feel like I'm a 40-year-old again.
I had a woman in my class whose husband struggled with pornography, and she told me in tears, this class has done more for us than thousands of dollars of counseling. Women come to the Awaken-Love class with a good marriage and leave with a great marriage. Or sometimes they come in pretty desperate and hopeless, and they leave with this renewed faith that God can heal them and that He can bring wholeness to their marriage. I mean, I've never been involved with something before where women leave saying, I'm so thankful my church is willing to talk about this, that they're brave enough to put this discussion out there because it's impacted their marriage so deeply.